Hi, welcome to Love Saranghae with Peter and Andrea. In the next 30 minutes, we'll take you on a journey into the exciting world of entrepreneurship, relationships, and the secrets behind achieving that coveted glow. Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of Love Saranghae with us, Peter and Andrea. Building a skincare brand is a dream for so many entrepreneurs. But what happens when that dream turns into endless stress, long hours, and eventually burnout? If you've ever wondered how to scale a beauty or wellness brand while still prioritizing yourself and your family and your other relationships, this episode is for you. Today, we're diving into the real strategies behind growing a successful skincare business without sacrificing our health, our relationships, or our sanity most of the time. I'll be sharing my personal journey along with Peter, the biggest lessons that we've learned, and the non-negotiables that have helped us stay grounded while scaling to 7 figures and beyond. Let's get into it. Ready, Peter?
I am. Yeah, this is an interesting one. I got a lot of, we can talk about this quite a bit, actually.
We have to try and keep it to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is always the challenge. Yeah. But I think let's start with like the challenges. So what was the hardest part about building this business for you that nobody warned you about? Like, what were the unexpected things that were challenging for you that you maybe weren't prepared for?
Well, I mean, okay, so, those people, some of our customers may know this because they've been with us that long. Some may not. But the brand itself launched in 2016. I mean, the formulation is from the 1970s, quite honestly. My mother created it back when I was almost just born. But Saranghae as an entity was born in 2016. So we've been doing this for a long time, almost 9 years, right?
Yeah.
And lots of ups and downs, lots of challenges. So people should know that, we almost a decade we've been kind of pushing this brand to where I think it could go, along with now my wife and partner, Andrea. I think the very first thing that caught me off guard, or that was challenging, was when you're looking forward to building a brand, there is no right or wrong answer. Right? Like there's no black and white that says you take the door.
Plus 2 is always 4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not like there's a map that says if you take the door on the left, it'll lead to millions of dollars and massive growth. But the door on the right will lead to complete failure. It doesn't work that way. It's like you make the decisions the best you can. And what I always say, my wife will repeat this over and over again, because I say this all the time. Great is the enemy of good, and done is better than perfect. Right? Yeah. So whenever we come to a decision and we wallow in the decision, what's the right answer? What other data do we need? I just simply say, look, just get it done. We'll fix it later. Yeah. Great is the enemy of good, and done is better than perfect.
Can you explain that? Great is the enemy of good.
Yeah. So we can, the essence of it is that we can take forever to make a decision, because we always want to make the right decision, right? Mm-hmm. The best decision possible. But not making a decision is also a decision in itself.
Yes, that is.
And that can cost you big time, right? So that phrase just simply means make a decision, the best one you can at that time, and just move forward.
I think for me, the hardest part of this business is that. Yeah. And it's making quick decisions. I would say that I'm getting a lot better at doing that. But up until maybe a year ago, I have always been slow to decide. And sometimes I won't even decide, and then someone decides for me, or it gets decided, and I'm not happy with what was decided, but I didn't take ownership of that, not making that decision.
Yeah.
So I think for me, to answer that question, it would be making quick decisions. The world really does reward you for making quick decisions.
Absolutely.
And then having the confidence to figure it out, whatever the outcome.
Well, and then you have to have the attitude that if the decision's wrong, it's okay. You just keep moving forward and fix it, right?
But that's what I mean by having
Yeah.
that confidence in yourself and knowing that you'll figure it out. But when you don't make quick decisions and you're always asking others, what do you think? And delaying, it does show the lack of confidence in your ability to push things forward.
And to be honest, when you look back, one good decision is as good as the other. You just kind of, it's what you make of it, right? The other thing that really struck me as 9 years or 8 years later, I look back, I realized that there's a reason why I am very focused on formulation. Again, it's a very right or wrong answer, right? A little more black and white than decision making. And why I stayed away from, initially, it was all about systems. And it's all about building the business and how that looks in terms of like people and systems and software. And in that funnel, or in that little like cauldron of soup called a business, the customer was somewhere in there, but probably not as important as I should have been. Should have been. And I think that's because my weakness, my strength was coding. My strength was systems. My strength was logical business decision making, not talking to customers who are telling me their problems and their issues and their concerns. And my right and left brain couldn't understand things like empathy or how to talk to customers. Yeah. So that was very difficult for me to figure out that I avoided that situation for the longest time, not connecting with my customers, because I thought what was important or what was easy for me was building, financial systems and automation systems and lead generation systems, stuff like that.
On the one hand, though, those systems built a very big business at the beginning.
Yes.
So for those of you who don't know, when we launched Saranghae, maybe almost, 9 years ago, we grew very fast, faster than most, because of those systems. So they worked, and they were good systems at that point. However, what they lacked was the foundation, and people were missing.
Yeah,
and those
the relationships
people were the foundation of the
That's
company. Right. And so when those systems failed, the company failed in a big way.
Yeah. Well, so I wouldn't say fail, but when those
maybe
those
not
systems,
failed is the right word.
no, because it's still there.
Yes.
But
yes.
I would say when those systems had to evolve.
Yeah.
Right. When the business model or the climate, the business climate evolved.
Yeah.
A business with strong foundation, strong customer base can automatically evolve with no matter what. They come out kind of rosy at the end because customers support it. What happened to us was that when we started to evolve, that we didn't evolve fast enough. We couldn't evolve fully because we didn't have that foundation, or it was it was weaker than I wanted it to be, for sure. And so I remember when we first started this podcast, and the question was, what would you do over again? And my answer was, I would put the customer first.
Yeah.
I would reiterate that answer. I think what I would do different would be, I would understand my customer, even if it's one at a time, and go from there.
Yeah. I think you guys can correct us if we're wrong, but I think that's one thing that we do really well now, is that we are very customer focused and we're forward facing. So often when you guys write in for a skincare consultation, or you have a request or something, even a complaint, it's Peter and I who handle a lot of that. We, of course, have a customer service team. We can't handle all of it, but we do our best to get in there and have those conversations with our customers. Because it really matters to us what people are thinking, how people are feeling. Are they seen? Are their complaints addressed? Are their problems solved, and how are we solving them? And do they feel supported and loved and appreciated and valued? Because that's how we see them. Yeah, so I think that would be probably one of the most important things to any business who's starting out. Really, really understand your customer, who they are, what they look like, where they shop, where they hang out. what problems are they trying to solve? How much money do they make? All those things really, really matter, and really understanding that.
Well, so it's all of that and talking to the customer, right? So the big difference between now and back then was that I had layers of people between myself and the customer. So I had our customer service reps, I had a director of customer ops, I had a chief operating officer, and then I would be a top there. So they would be like, So I'd be like this 3 or 4 levels. And so there's the permutation of communication, would not be completely correct, right? So the difference between then and now is that now I talk to every customer myself. And those insights are very valuable. Like those, what is driving our customers to love us or not love us, or a specific product or not. Like it's the information that I'm getting is real time, but not only that, I'm developing a relationship with my customers. And I think that's very important.
Absolutely. I think that's very important. But before you interrupted, I was talking about at the beginning, when you don't know your customers, but the people that you are attracting, who do you want to serve? So really understanding that person and creating an avatar of that person. And then what you said makes sense. Like you have to really be, it's really how you make them feel. How do they feel seen? Do they feel heard? Do they feel valued? And those are the people that come back. When even customers that show up angry, like something was broken at the doorstep. So a product was broken in shipment and it arrived and it was leaking or something. Sometimes those customers write in and they're angry and they want a refund. And then Peter, I will respond to them. And it's a really sweet, thoughtful conversation. And it ends up being a lifetime customer because they feel seen and heard and valued. And whatever problem that they had, we will quickly address it. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's what do we always say to our team? An angry customer is a chance for us to build trust. Yeah. Right? It's an opportunity for us to go and build more trust. So that's what I love that. Yeah, I think that's the model that we live by right now. And hopefully as we grow, we don't lose that identity, and it's up to us, I guess, as leaders to build that up. All right, what's next?
Exactly. So what do you think about the idea of balance? What do you think about the word balance? When people say work-life balance, how do you balance being an entrepreneur and being a parent and, a husband and doing the things that you want to do with your running and your climbing and all the things? What do you think about balance and all that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there's a couple of things. The first is I think there is a time and place for putting in the hours, right? And when this company was first started, there were times when I put in gobs of hours. There was a couple of times when I fell asleep when I slept at the office. It happens. And when you're young, especially, and you're building a business, there will be times where you have to put in those hours. Having said that, I always tell Andrea, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yeah, you always say that.
Yeah, those challenges will never stop. The mountains before us will never end. So it's important for us to enjoy the process and take it at a pace that we can maintain without burning out, right? Yeah. And so I have strategies in place that allow me to step away from the office for hours at a time because it can be done the next day. Like I'm not going to stress over it because again, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And the last thing is I always have to remind, and I think all of our listeners here, this is a great thing to do, is to periodically review your priorities, right? If you say, and we say, that family is our number one priority, that has to be the case, right? Yeah. So if our kids are our number one priority, our family, then we have to take time for that family. And given the choice between A and B, right? If you review the priorities. If the priority is family, take the family. We haven't missed a event for our kids yet. We may in the future, but we haven't missed one yet because that's our priority. Everything that happens, we just simply say, okay, reschedule it, push it out, right? It's not that important for us to miss our kids' basketball games or report card analysis or parent-teacher interview so that we can take care of work stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, that's what it comes down to, I think, priorities.
Yeah, I agree. I like what you said about how we often reevaluate and make sure that, what we said was a priority actually is. And there are times where we waver, and there are, like you said, times where we work hard and long. But I would say that the majority of the time, we have come up with systems. And because Peter and I work together, we're also husband and wife, and we're raising a family, we're able to have those conversations like, I need to be out tonight. You need to X, Y, Z. And so we're able to support each other because our goal in the end is the same. And that is to grow this company while raising a solid family.
Yeah.
I would say, I'd probably add one more thing about the whole idea of balance. And what I've learned is that there isn't quite a balance. I don't see life as a balance. And I don't see work and life as two separate entities anymore. I really love what I do, and I love work. And work is my life. And that doesn't mean that family is not my life. And it doesn't mean that, but my family is also my life. So the whole concept of work-life balance, I feel it's an inappropriate term, at least for us, because my life is my work, and I love what I do, and it's my life isn't stopped because I'm working.
Yeah,
it's part of the fun things that I get to do in a day, and what I'm creating for us and our family and for our work and our team and so on. So I think, someone termed this conscious trade-offs, and it's Lexi. I don't know how many people are familiar with the wax on, and it's a waxing and laser brand. And Lexi has 4 young kids. I think they're under the age of 6. And she is a very busy business owner, and so is her husband. And what she always says is, I decide what's important to me, and I get really comfortable trading off the rest. So, and that really resonated with me because it's, I'm really not okay with missing my kids' events. It's really important to me that I'm at their events. So as long as I'm in town, I really make the effort to be at Peter or I at one of the events at whatever given time or situation. At least one of us is at all of the events. So that's important to me. What's not important to me is drop off and pick up. So someone can do that for us if we have to. Sometimes bedtime is missed. But bedtime is important to me, so I try to be there for most of the bedtime routines that we have. But there are situations where I can't be, and I'm okay with that because I am with them most of the time. So it really is about deciding what's important to you and then prioritizing that, putting it in a calendar. If working out is important to you, like Peter every morning likes to go out and run, I like to work out too. So now our kids are old enough that we can sort of have we make a deal with them to make that a little bit easier for us to do. So that's my 2 cents on the whole idea of balance.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit about what daily or weekly habits have helped maintain both the business success and the personal well-being. What are some habits that you think are important?
Yeah, so I think the 2 habits or the 2 ways of managing your life that are very important, they're symbiotic, but at the same time opposing. So they work together to make your life easier and for you to actually be able to do this without killing yourself. But they're actually 2 opposite things. And I'll tell you what that means. It's the ability to be disciplined. So I call it military. So very structured in the way I approach work life. And Andrea will tell you this, like I have my schedule that goes out for months, and it's detailed and it's scheduled, and I ask for at least a month's advance notice on some of these things. But at the same time, flexibility. So it's discipline and flexibility, which are polar opposites of the yin and yang, but when it works together, it creates a very workable whole, if I can, what I'm saying. So I train at 5 a.m. almost every morning. I take a Saturday off because that's when it's family time for all of us. And it's almost clockwork. However, if I have something that needs my attention that morning, I can work that around. I can miss another day, miss one day of training, or I schedule it after work, or I do something else in the afternoon. I'm not so rigid in my scheduling and in my planning that if I don't do it, it affects the rest of my day. I'm also very flexible in that sense, right? So I review my schedule on a weekly basis, and I adjust it how it needs to be. But at the same time, I'm always disciplined in looking forward and making sure I understand how the schedule fits. And so I don't know if that makes sense, but it's those two things that work together at all times: the discipline and the flexibility at the same time.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that someone said this: the more disciplined I am, the more freedom I have.
Yeah.
And I really see that. Like, the more you schedule the things that are important to you,
Yeah.
the more the more you do those things, and then the happier you are, and you actually have more time.
That's right.
Because so for example, if you're going to work out for an hour, you don't work out for 2 hours, you work out for 1. And then you have the rest of the day to do whatever else. The other thing is getting up early. I think early rising has been very, very fundamental in us getting all the things in that we want to get in. I remember years ago reading the 5 a.m. Club.
Yeah.
And I didn't really resonate with the story of it. But the idea of getting up in the morning before the rest of the world already sets you apart from a big majority of the world. And having that quiet time to go inward and to study, to journal, to exercise, to prepare for the day, and instead of not a reactive state, in a more proactive state, it's really powerful. And by 7 or 8 in the morning, you've already done a lot of things. And so that energy that you're bringing into your day is a completely different energy than always rushing and always catching up in a way and reacting to every situation that happens. So I would say the other habit would be early rising.
Yeah. So I want listeners to understand something, though. It's not like we're asking, I'm not a masochist, right? I don't go to bed at 1 a.m, get up at 4:30 and just kind of tough it out. I go to bed at 9:30, right? Like, I'm in bed by 9:30, latest 10, and I'm up by 5, sometimes 5:30. I get my 8 hours of sleep in a day, but it's consistent, right? It's consistent. So, if you can get off the phone for a little bit or just go to bed a little earlier, it helps.
Exactly. Creating systems around the things that are important to you is
exactly
really important.
It's a tool. Creating systems is a tool. Tools are necessary when you want to automate or when you want to kind of manage your life. That's what sets us humans apart from the animals. We can create tools, right? We don't have sharp claws, we don't have sharp teeth, but we can make tools and we can use them.
What's another habit that you would say would be important to your business success? We talked a little bit more about on the personal side, but from the business perspective, what's a habit that's helped you?
So from a business perspective, the same thing kind of applies in business as well in terms of strategic, so we plan out, we think about what we want to do, we execute, we measure. So we plan, we execute, we measure, we do this cycle of feedback. So I remember last week in a podcast episode, one of the phrases that I heard was, feedback is breakfast, right? So the breakfast food is feedback, and you got to have feedback loop, right? So you got to figure out what's happening and all the things that you're doing, and then listen to that and get that loop going. In essence, that's what business is. It's you plan out, you apply some resources to it, you execute what you want to execute as quickly as you can, then you find out what happened. Then you adjust. You go over and over and over again. And then we do that in this environment of, making sure that you have your right environment. I know working from home works for a lot of people. Andrea works 3 days from home. I work every day in the office, and I can work from home if I need to, or if I want to. But I do my best work here in the office. And so that's the one thing that I insist on is I come to the office and get it done. Right?
That's a good point to really understanding where you work best and when you work best. So some people are really sharp in the mornings. That should be when you schedule your most difficult tasks.
Exactly.
And knock them off, wherever it is that you're at your best. The other thing I would add to that, Peter, is the communication. I think communication is so key in business and relationships. You and I share a calendar together for our family and then for work. And everything goes there. Everything that's happening, whether Peter's joining me or not, he knows what I'm up to. He knows where I'm going, what time I'm going, and what's expected of him as a result of me being absent, for example, and then vice versa. So being really communicative and clear with your team and with your partner, for example, if you're like us and you're working together, it's so fundamental. Ensuring everybody understands exactly what you expect and what you will be, like when you expect it, how you expect it. All of those things are really, really important to the growth and success of any relationship or company.
Yeah. I think the last thing I want to add is simply your expectations and your attitude. So every day, every week, every month, I come into the office and I run this business. And maybe this is because we're the leaders here. We own the company, but I understand that when you practice the mantra of great is the enemy of good and done is better than perfect, mistakes will be made. Things will not work out exactly how you've planned them. That's just the nature of moving quick, and that's the nature of running a business, right? We cannot, and you cannot beat yourself over with a bad if things don't work out exactly how you planned or things don't work out perfectly the way you want it. Things happen in life and in business. You've got to be able to learn from it, roll with it, and just do better next time.
Yeah.
That's it.
The quicker you recover, the better the chances of your business, the longevity of your business. Because the ones who really wallow in things, when things don't go well or the way you expected it, the people who really struggle with standing back up are the ones who often don't make it.
I think, to be honest with you, I think that's the most important thing. If there's anything anyone can get out of this conversation, this podcast, it's this. It's your attitude, right? Yeah. Just expect it and roll with it. When I got into ultra running, I thought you had to run the whole thing. I thought people ran 100 miles the whole thing. And there are people that are elite runners in this world that get paid to do this, that can run 100 miles or 160 kilometers, right? But most people walk. They walk uphill. They take a rest. Sometimes they sleep. Sometimes, they take a big break. And everyone wants to quit, right? Yeah. As the saying goes, it doesn't get any easier. You just get faster. Yeah. Everyone wants to quit. It's just the way you deal with it. And so, it's a revelation to me when I go to my first ultra event and people are like, oh no, I sleep in the corner for 30 minutes. Oh yeah, no, I walk all the uphills and the downhills. You don't have to run everything. It's like, oh, I see. In a 160 mile or 100 mile run, you're going to run into all kinds of things. You got to go to the bathroom multiple times. You might throw up a few times. You might run out of food. You might fall into a river and not be able to get out. You're soaking wet. You're going to get sunshine, cold, rain, sleet. You just deal with it and move on. You got to expect it. And that's it.
Just got to keep going.
You just got to keep going. That's life. Exactly. And that's also business.
How would you balance the demand for innovation and growth while avoiding burnout?
Yeah. That's a really good question. I don't think we've done that very well. Well, the burnout part, innovation growth, I mean, we can always grow more. I think, that the answer to that question, I think, Andrea, was answered by you a little while ago, which is if you don't treat this like a job, and we don't, this is part of our life. If innovation and growth comes from just being curious and wanting to do better for your customers and for yourself, it's just a natural part of life, right? Just wanting to move forward and be better just a little bit more every day. If you treat it that way, yeah, as a gift to yourself, right? Learning and growing every single day is in a healthy environment with family is a gift. It's not a burden. It's a gift. And so when it's a gift, it's fun. And that, I think, if you look at it that way, I don't think burnout happens. Right? It's just an opportunity for me to grow and to be a better person one day at a time. That's the way I look at it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I think...
Can I bottle that and sell it?
No. Perspective.
A magic elixir.
When you look at innovation and growth, I think one of the things that we do really well, like we said earlier, is we are face-to-face with our customers a lot. And so we're able to really understand what they want. And so it's easier for us to sort of know where we're going, so long as it aligns with our bigger mission and goals. And then, if you love what you do and you really enjoy the work that you do, and I think also if you give back, when you support others, it's very refreshing and it's rewarding and it doesn't feel like work. I don't feel, even when I work hard and I'm working all day, I come home, I get the kids, I do the kid family thing, and then I work all through the night. Those days, usually, I'm not tired. I feel energized because of what I'm doing. It's exciting, inspiring, and we are making a difference, I believe, in not just the lives of our customers, but it's other business owners. And, there's lots of different channels of our business, and all of them excite me. And I think that's the biggest way to avoid burnout is to just really create a business that you love.
I mean, that isn't to say, I don't want people to think that it's going to be all, daisy and all like honey and sugar all the time. It's not. There will be times when you're tired. There'll be times when you're not motivated. There'll be times when you feel like you're not getting anywhere. Like that's the natural path of life in general and running a business. Then, it's a lot of, we've seen a lot of peaks and troughs in this business alone. And the one thing I say to all my friends or my people who I've talked to about this, I say, listen, sometimes the winner is the last one standing. Just, if you can just endure that journey, the last one standing, sometimes that's that separates from the winner for the rest of the pack, right? So, if you combine that with it's not a sprint, but an ultra marathon, figure out when you need to walk, figure out when you need to take a rest, figure out when you need to eat, figure out what's going to make it just alleviate that stress a little bit at that time so that you can just keep on going. Because that's all it takes, really. That's all we're trying to do is just keep on going. Keep moving forward, one step at a time.
And learning how to turn those challenges into lessons.
Yeah.
Instead of complete defeat.
I mean, if you absolutely hate your job, perhaps there's another conversation you should have with yourself.
Nah.
but yeah.
We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that.
Yeah, you should probably do that.
That's not where we're going.
Yeah,
if that's you, maybe you need to think about something else. But if this is something that you want to do and you really want to see through, then this would be our advice. Okay, so last sort of thought before we close. For aspiring beauty entrepreneurs, so people who want to get into this line of work, what's the number one mindset shift they need to succeed in today's industry? And maybe we kind of answered that already, but what would you say? What's your mindset hack for people who want to start or get in, what would you suggest?
Yeah. So again, I'm going to bring it back to great is the enemy of good. Done is better than perfect. I will also add another one, 0 to 1, right? There's a skill set and an attitude that needs to happen with entrepreneurs, especially to get from 0 to 1, right? So if you're a CEO or managers of 1,000-man companies, you can actually even just step away from that business and the business will run fine. It's at the, if 0 to 1 is starting a company, then that's probably at like 100 to 120, right? No one man matters in that company. Customers are already there. Everything's established. That's a whole different type of management. 0 to 1 takes a special type of person. It takes people who have to self-motivate and push and pull at every scenario. So my suggestion would be is move quick, take feedback, and take that feedback and move quick again. So get to that cycle where you're planning, acting, taking feedback, adjusting, planning, acting, taking feedback, adjusting, and eventually you put energy into that flywheel of momentum and you keep going. You need to build momentum as an entrepreneur, right? Not doing everything correct, not having the most beautiful packaging with the most beautiful formulation, the XYZ. Just get moving.
No,
release that first product as fast as possible and get that feedback.
Done better than perfect.
And preferably as cheap as possible. Like don't blow all of your budget on that one prototype, right? Because I've seen that happen. Yeah, I've seen that happen. So, John, how long did it take you to make this and how much did it cost you? Oh, it took me 9 months to make this and all of my budget. I'm like, well, maybe that wasn't the smartest idea. So, preferably don't spend as much, don't blow all your budget on that prototype.
Have start your market before blow the bank.
Oh,
I'd like to add to this quickly before we close. For me, when I think about building or starting, I would suggest the first thing that you do is write out what would you love. In a perfect world, if you could have whatever you wanted in this business, what would you love? And write down all of those things without judgment. And then every day work towards one thing. Do one thing that you can to get closer to that love list that you've created. So I agree with Peter. That's sort of how you physically start, but then on the mental side and the other side of it is creating a business that you love. What would you love? What does that look like? What does that smell like? What does it sound like? Where would you be? Where would you live? What would your office look like? Like all these things seem like frivolous details, but when you're creating that picture in your mind, the universe gets to work, in my opinion. And having that picture and going back to that picture often, I believe it will happen. So do what Peter says and do what I say and marry those two together. That's where the magic is.
Okay, before we sign off, I would like to address one last thing, which is my pet peeve. Actually, it's one of my biggest pet peeves. I like to address it. No. It's good advice. So one of my biggest pet peeves, I probably used to do this when I was young, is they would say, I have a business idea. And then you would ask the question, okay, tell me, what is it? And they would say, I can't share my idea because somebody might steal it, right? Yeah.
It's top secret.
Look, here's the reality. The reality is that there are 6.5 billion people in this world. Somebody else has thought of that idea. And most likely, there's a couple other dozen companies doing it right now that you're not even aware of. The idea itself is worth nothing. Ideas buy you not even a cup of coffee, right? And 50 cents would buy you half a cup of coffee. Talk about it. Get advice. Get people to rally around you. Get excited over it. All of that is far more important than you trying to protect your idea. I guarantee you that will not matter, right? Execution is everything. Ideas are I swear to God, I can take $10 right now and I could buy 1,000 business ideas from ChatGPT, free from ChatGPT, and $10 from a bunch of people on the internet, and all of them would be very good. Execution is everything. Ideas are dime a dozen. Talk about your ideas, share them, get excited, build momentum. That would be my single biggest advice for you if you're thinking about starting something.
But be careful who you share those ideas with, because well-meaning people who perhaps give up on their dreams are not the people who are going to celebrate you going after yours.
That's true too.
So choose your community wisely is probably how we'll end that. And at the end of the day, building a skincare empire should be more than just hitting revenue goals. And I think that hopefully that's what we've shared today. It's more about creating something that's sustainable, that nourishes you, and leaves a lasting impact. True success isn't just measured in sales. It's in the legacy that you build, the brand, the mission, and the lives you touch long after you're gone. So ask yourself, what are you creating today that will keep giving for years to come? If today's episode resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on one change you can make this week to prioritize yourself while growing your business. And if you loved this conversation, be sure to let us know. We love hearing your feedback, and as always, thank you for being on this journey with us. We're so grateful.
Ta-ta.
Thanks for listening to Live Saranghae with us, Peter and Andrea. If you've enjoyed this episode, leave us a review. Your ratings and reviews help more people like you find our show. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and share this podcast with someone you think would love it. Until next time, love yourself, love one another, and love the world.